Imagine going from a small town state government college in India to landing a dream job at Google. Sounds like a fairy tale, doesn't it? Well, that's my real story, and I am here to share how an impossible dream became reality. A journey no one expected, not even me, is full of twists that you won't see coming. I pursued my B.Tech at a decent state government college in India right after finishing school. The environment there was mostly focused on academics and not on competitive programming or coding contests. Back then, I was all about hands on projects, and I did a lot of them. And believe it or not, I was the first in my batch to get placed. But I wasn't done. By then, I had realized that cracking an IIT could be a game changer for my career. So I focused on the GATE exam, cracked it in my final year of B.Tech, and went to pursue my M.Tech at an IIT. During my masters, I was deeply involved in research, working on projects, writing research papers, and even planning to pursue a PhD next. Initially, placements weren't even on my mind, and I skipped sitting for placements at multiple good companies and was focusing entirely on my research. It was my guide who finally pushed me. At least sit for the placements. It's always good to have a plan B. So I gave it a shot. Although placements weren't easy, I eventually landed a decent job. This time, the interview focused on strong CS fundamentals, which I was pretty good at, not intense CP or LeetCode grinding. And good projects definitely mattered too. After that, I shifted my focus back to my M.Tech thesis and research papers. Then, out of nowhere, in May 2019, I got an email from a Google recruiter. And guess what I did? I ignored it. Google, me, thought it was a spam and ignored it while drowning in my final M.Tech dissertation preparation. 2 weeks later, somehow I looked at it again and I felt, what if it is real? So I replied, and it was real. After clearing the recruiter screening, I was invited to apply for a role at Google and my phone interview was scheduled. At the same time, I was also appearing for PhD admission exams at various IITs. Although I had a couple of weeks before the interview, most of that time was taken up by traveling and attending those entrance exams. I cracked the PhD admission exams and interviews at a premier IIT as a top candidate, which had been my goal up until this point, and I felt genuinely satisfied. Meanwhile, I also did well in my master's program, graduating as the top ranker in my batch. With very little time left, I rushed to prepare for the Google phone screen. It was during this preparation that I came across LeetCode for the first time. Initially, the problems felt too tough, so I jumped to other sites for practice. I was coding in C++, and although the challenges seemed like a mountain too high at first, my strong fundamentals in data structures and algorithms helped me push through. Thanks to that solid foundation, I was able to solve the coding problems during the interview efficiently and successfully nailed the phone screen. Within days, I was invited to Onsite interviews at Bangalore. Onsite scheduled, first flight ever, off to Bangalore. It was a marathon, 5 rounds in one day, 4 coding, 1 googliness, and a lunch interview. By the last round, I was completely exhausted, and I knew it was not my best. But even so, the experience itself felt surreal. Just making it that far felt like a dream. And then, life threw me a curveball. Torn between options, I chose to join the company I had been placed in, instead of pursuing the PhD opportunity at IIT. But soon after, a ligament injury put me on bed rest for 2.5 months. Meanwhile, I learned that I did not crack the Onsite at Google. But I wasn't heartbroken. I knew that since I wasn't a competitive coder and hadn't given enough time to LeetCode, it was okay. And honestly, I was happy in the job I was doing and was pretty good at it. I thought that Google chapter was over now. Then came COVID and things moved remote. We were all coping up with adjusting to the new norms of work from home and its challenges. 2 years passed, fast forward to September 2021. Another Google recruiter reached out. And then I realized that actually the Google chapter wasn't over yet. I began preparing seriously, turning to LeetCode, But without a structured approach, it quickly became chaotic. With just a couple of weeks to prepare and 2 years away from DSA, I gave it my best, but I did not make it. But this time, I did not stop. I kept going. That was the turning point. I started solving at least one LeetCode problem a day consistently, and soon I got addicted to the streak. Over time, I pushed myself further, aiming to solve up to 10 problems a day. I switched from practicing in C++ to Python, and it was a game changer. For coding interviews, Python just made sense. Less syntax, faster problem solving, and a greater focus on logic. I focused on mastering problem-solving patterns, tackling every pattern I could find. Balancing a full-time job, I studied during late nights and on weekends, often sacrificing sleep. Through it all, only my mother truly saw the struggle and supported me unconditionally. The very next year, in August 2022, another recruiter reached out, and this time I had been consistently practicing LeetCode. Still, instead of rushing, I took some extra time to prepare thoroughly. In October 2022, I aced the phone screen. I genuinely felt like I nailed it. But then, I didn't hear back for a while, and I started getting really anxious. Then in November, another recruiter who was working with my recruiter finally reached out and confirmed, "You are moving to Onsite." I was thrilled, and by this time I was well prepared. Just when things were lining up, the twist happened. A hiring freeze hit, and my on-site interviews were cancelled, and I was devastated. But I kept preparing. Then in January 2023, my recruiter reached out again. By this time, I was eligible for an L4 role, but I had to reapply and go through another phone screen, and I cleared it again. Then I underwent a rigorous on-site interview process comprising 5 on-site coding rounds and 1 googliness round, one after the other. The entire process spanned about 3 to 4 months, with different interviewers from across the globe. After clearing all the rounds, I progressed to the team matching phase. Following a successful team match, my recruiter delivered the good news, and I finally received a formal offer from Google. My recruiter supported me throughout the entire process, right up until my joining. However, my 3-month notice period delayed my joining date significantly. Finally, after completing the notice period, I moved to Bangalore. But this was not all. And just before my scheduled joining date, it got postponed again. This time due to a holiday change. So up until that point, I still wasn't sure if I had truly made it to my dream job. It wasn't until I actually walked into Google that it finally felt real. And then it happened. My first day at Google as a software engineer 3. A dream, years in the making, finally real. I will never forget that moment. This journey taught me a lot, but here are the key takeaways. Hard work stacks up, rejections teach, consistency wins. So keep showing up, because one day you will walk into your dream too. Believe in your pace, build your own journey. If I can do it, you absolutely can too. This was my story, and I am building DKodeTree to help people who are in the same boat. Share this with someone who needs it. If you found this helpful, smash that like button and subscribe to DKodeTree. This supports the channel a lot. And share your own journey in the comments below. I promise someone out there needs to hear it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.